Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Office Bloke Daz.
I'm Office Bloke Mike.
And I'm Office Bloke Max.
Here we are, all three of us. If Patreon's your thing, check out the link in the description below. Absolutely loads and loads of stuff on there, starting for a bargain price of just
£1.50 a month.
Bargain, that is, and you get things like Sopranos have just popped up on there now.
Yeah.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Absolutely brilliant.
Loads and loads of really good stuff.
Family Guy, US Office, loads of stuff.
So get on there, check it out. 18 ugliest cars of the 1970s.
Right, okay.
See, this is not my area of expertise, as I was not around in the 70s.
You weren't. I was only around for half of them.
Yeah.
Mike was in his 20s driving by then.
That's right.
Mike was designing cars in the 70s.
probably owned most of them.
The mad thing is about old cars, some of them are that ugly they become collectors.
They do.
They become icons.
Yeah.
And collector classic sort of thing.
I would guess that older, sporty type cars probably look pretty good still. They probably look pretty iconic, but I think it's more maybe the saloons and family cars that are going to look really dodgy.
I got a mate at the moment who's just restoring the Mark 1 Escort RS 200 or whatever it is.
Oh, right,
But he's made it like a real crazy colour.
Oh, really?
It's gone like bright green. Talk about standing out.
It's a tough choice, stuff like that.
You used to have like bright green, bright orange. It was bright orange in Mexico, I think.
Mexico was yellow, wasn't it?
Was it yellow? I thought it's sort of orangey yellow. But
maybe. I'm trying to go off memory, but
yeah.
We get into this anyway. So the 18 ugliest cars of the 1970s.
Yeah.
1970 AMC Gremlin. The Gremlin sold for 2/3 the cost of most small cars.
It's like a scimitar.
Which is
I was just going to say the same.
Because it looked like 2/3 of a car. Truth be told, the Gremlin was a stroke of corporate genius.
That's not bad.
That's a Metro at the front and a scimitar at the back.
I was going to say, it looks like two cars chopped.
Yeah, that's mint, that.
It's nice colour.
Cheap to develop and right for the times, and it was a runaway sales success, at least by AMC's modest standards. But did it have to be so ugly? It could have been worse. AMC considered a shortened version of the Hornet that design chief Dick Teague said was even uglier. Though, considering that he signed off on the Gremlin, we're not sure his opinion can be trusted. 1970 Buick Riviera. The second-generation Buick Riviera was a breathtakingly beautiful car, at least from 1966 until 1969, with its racy lines and inboard hidden headlights.
Yeah, that is, isn't it?
And then, this happened. It takes a moment to appreciate just how ugly this car is, probably because of the mind's defensive mechanism of blocking out extreme trauma. But look long enough, you poor thing, and you will see
not like the Buick
the way the grille seems to be sliding down off the front of the car, the way the skirted rear fenders seem to be growing over the wheels like runaway mold,
Yeah, I'm not keen on
and
that.
the way the whole body is bloated like a drowning victim. Riviera sales, steadily rising through the late 60s, dropped like a glider in freefall when this bastardized blob hit the showroom floor. Mercifully, it was replaced by the controversial but beautiful boat-tail Riviera in 1971. 1970 Ford Thunderbird.
That's nice, yeah.
The late 60s T-Birds were, if not exactly pretty cars, certainly non-offensive. And then 1970 came along, and Ford decided to stick a giant beak on the front. Seriously, Ford. The emphasis should be on thunder, not bird. 1970 Porsche 914. It is difficult to design a well-proportioned mid-engine car.
Oh, dear.
TR6 looking, TR7 sort of
Yeah,
style, isn't it? X19.
I would never pass it off as a Porsche.
No.
The shape of it is absolutely nowhere near it.
That's I don't know if it's based on the Fiat X19 or the because it looks like just like the back of the Fiat X19, doesn't it?
Quite possibly.
Yeah. So I don't know because Fiat it's Ferrari, obviously, isn't it? So
Yeah,
that sort of like build. But I've got a feeling that might be sort of like mapped the same.
Yeah, not keen on that.
Car, though we'd argue that Chevrolet has finally done it. But there's more to the Porsche 914's strangeness than the huge expanse of space between the B-pillar and the rear wheel. There's just something about the 914, its awkwardly swept-back greenhouse, its super square, squared-off bodywork, its relatively unadorned lines, that makes it not only a dorky-looking car,
It's like a BMW
but one that has
back.
accepted its dorkiness. We're not saying that dorkiness is unappealing. We love the 914, but we think a Porsche should be styled like a car you dream about, not the reality you wake up to.
I think you're right. If I had to guess about the old one,
1970 Saab Sonett 3.
I probably would have said BMW.
The third generation Sonett was designed with American buyers in mind. And someone must have told the Swedes that Americans like cars with huge front overhangs. That was a joke, Saab. A joke. Nevertheless, the Sonett showed up with this ridiculously elongated schnozzle, made worse by the big 5-mile-per-hour bumper jammed onto the front end. And as if the proportions weren't bad enough, the elongated front contrasted sharply with its awkwardly curtailed tail. No wonder Americans didn't take Saab seriously until the 900 came along. 1972 Subaru GL Coupe. Subaru, like other Japanese automakers, was making steady inroads into the U.S. market with smart, efficient, and practical small cars that were sensible, if not exactly stylish. So their designers tried stylish, and this is what happened. Our guess is that the Subaru GL was just a little too long to fit into the shipping crate, and the solution was to cut 8 inches off the tail, stick on a bumper and taillights, and send it on its way. 1973 Leyland P76. Lest you think that British Leyland only made Brits miserable,
how embarrassing.
the P76 is proof that the world...
How embarrassing. You know what?
I'm sure cars like that used to hang around outside our school.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did.
That tells you that's a full description.
Yeah.
So what did the guy who touched you look like? What, he drove a Leyland P76?
It was purple.
We got him. Yeah, know exactly who he is.
Oh, hang on a minute. Narrows it down to 500 that parts outside the school right now.
Gee. Just a quick one though. I never knew Subaru was Japanese.
Where do you think it was from?
I thought it was Scandinavian.
Have a think of the name, mate.
Say
it.
I always thought.
Say it in an accent.
You're going to tell me Yamaha now?
No. Get all that.
Mitsubishi. Where's that come from?
That's weird. I always thought it was Scandinavian. I don't know why, because there used to be rally cars or something like that, and a lot of them were Scandinavian.
So
just
Honda
sort of
and all that.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
It's
bizarre.
When you look at all the rally cars, yeah. It's usually all them, to be fair.
Just goes to show how much I know, doesn't it? Yeah.
World's most notorious crap car conglomerate tried to spread that despair to the farthest corners of the Commonwealth. The P76 was a big car produced by Leyland Australia, and our guess is that the design mandate was to eliminate any lingering desire to reform the empire. The wedge shape allows the trunk to accommodate a 44-gallon drum, preferably one full of something incendiary. Besides being ugly, the P76 was built with all the care and quality for which Leyland was known. In other words, none.
Right,
and after 2 years and just 18,000 sales, the P76 was history.
Australia.
1973 Reliant Robin.
Oh, yeah.
3-wheel cars don't have to be ugly, though most of them...
Big time.
These are legendary. Del Boy.
We used to go around with all them. My mate called Neil Taylor, he was like, well, he ended up being like a councillor for the Lib Dems and stuff. But
of course he would, driving one of them.
But he used to live down our road. He used to have one of those. It was called Plastic Pig. He used to be on CB radio and all sorts. It was so... but he's the only person...
Is he still single?
He's the only person we knew that had a car.
I wouldn't get it, mate.
Why I'm admitting it on video, I don't know. It's bizarre.
Yeah, it's a weird old car, isn't it?
It's oh, yeah.
The problem with the Reliant Robin is not just that it's ugly, but that it's so desperate. Even its predecessor, the ironically named Reliant Regal, managed some barely detectable smidgen of visual dignity. But the Robin looks like exactly the car.
A provisional license for it, though.
You did.
It's classed as a motorbike, wasn't
Correct, yeah. You could drive it on a provisional, yeah.
It's how weak of a car it was. It was just like, you'd get
it probably had like a 400cc engine or something.
They did do a 4-wheel version of it.
Oh, the kitten.
The kitten.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Why am I admitting all this?
Car you would buy when you can't afford to buy something that is exactly a car. Austere, goggle-eyed, and seemingly satisfied to wallow shamelessly in its subcar status, the Robin seems to be begging for the smallest scrap of our affection, which we feel completely justified in withholding. 1974 Bricklin SV1. Wow. Malcolm Bricklin is the man who foisted the Subaru 360 and the Yugo on American buyers. And if that isn't proof of malignant intent, we don't know what is. His one attempt at making a car of his own was the plastic fantastic safety vehicle 1, and it was terrible in so many ways, including visually. There are the Gugundo bumpers front and rear, the gun-slit windows, and those oh-so-1970s turbine vane wheels that belong on a Chevy van with Shaggin' Wagon painted in day-glow balloon letters on the side. Assembly quality was abysmal, body panels warped, often before they were attached to the chassis. The hidden headlights liked to stay hidden. The cars leaked like they were made of cheesecloth, and the 90-pound gull-wing doors would bend or break under the force of their hydraulic actuators. If they opened at all, that is. a buggy electrical system often trapped owners
just a bit.
inside the cars. Ugly to look at and ugly to own,
exhaust,
that
that's
was
terrible.
the Bricklin.
Wow.
1974 Sebring Vanguard city car. If you've ever wondered how electric cars got a reputation as glorified golf...
That's definitely the General Lee, isn't it? That's the general... That's the general...
Yeah, it's quite nice. I quite like that.
What the...
I'm not sure about the car, like, but...
Daisy Duke.
Golf carts.
That's got the look,
Well,
hasn't she?
here you go. The city car, brainchild, or perhaps brain fart, of a company called Sebring Vanguard, literally was a glorified golf cart with a 2.5 horsepower motor, later upgraded to 6 horses.
No way.
Do you remember when they used to give all the handicapped people in Britain, like...
What's that?
Oh, but be careful what you say now, won't you?
I do, yeah. Well, I don't... Is that what you call them, handicapped, right? That's what they were,
Yeah.
handicapped. They had blue badges.
Yeah.
And they used to have cars that looked similar to that.
Yeah, like the blue
with,
ones.
With handlebars, and it had 3-wheelers, and it was like a funky blue, like a real, like, dodgy pale blue.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that's what you got if you got Motability. Instead of getting
That's
like
what
now,
you got.
you get a BMW now on Motability.
Oh, you can get all sorts
you
these
get,
days,
you get
don't
an
you?
allowance, so you can put to it and get like a BMW or whatever. Or you get any car. Now, they used to give them like, what looked like that.
Yeah, you're right.
One seat.
Yeah.
And a wheel chock-shaped body that must have cost tens of dollars to design. It had a 40-mile range and could accelerate to 60 miles per hour in 6.2 seconds. Oh,
That's
sorry.
max speed.
That's how long it took to accelerate to 25 miles per hour, which is 3 miles per hour shy of the original version's top speed. A company called Commuter Vehicles bought the design in the late 70s, renamed it the Commuter Car, and added the ridiculous bumper extensions you see
that color
here.
blue?
We're not sure why, as it was an inherently unsafe car. Every time they got in, the driver risked dying of embarrassment. 1974 Ford Mustang II. We'll skip the debate about whether the downsized Mustang II was a stroke of genius or a national tragedy. That's a conversation for another time. Sure, the Mustang II looked silly,
Copper color.
but the major visual offense was the luxury-themed Ghia model, a victim of Ford's notion that any car could be made better with the addition of opera windows. It was one thing to shrink the Stang,
roof.
but attempting to give it a luxury vibe with a padded vinyl formal roof and color-keyed bumpers was nothing less than a crime against humanity. And did they think we wouldn't notice that the hubcaps were lifted from the Granada? Come on. The Mustang II was a strong seller, but we think this was in spite of the Mustang Ghia rather than because of it. 1974, Vanden Plas 1500. The Detroit Three were rightly criticized throughout the 1970s and 80s.
We had that.
We had that, didn't we? Was it called the... Not what the Montego, was it? What was it called?
The Austin Princess. Vanden Plas. It's the same as that. Exactly.
Oh, the Princess had a pointed front, though.
We had that car exactly the same, and it was not Princess. Sorry.
It's Allegro.
Allegro.
It's an Allegro.
Correct.
Yeah,
we had it.
We had the Princess, but that's like a really sharp point at the front.
It was the Allegro. Sorry, got my mistake.
Yeah, so it's the same one, isn't it?
Exactly the same as that, and it was called. We had the Allegro Vanden Plas, which was the same.
Ah, right.
That's what I was expecting when it came up. That's what I was expecting when it came up. We had that in blue.
Yeah.
80s for badge engineering. The process of taking
Then
a
it was.
crappy car and
there
putting
you
a fancy
go.
grill on it, thereby magically transforming it into something truly special. But British Leyland raised this to an art form, provided your
Rolls-Royce when we
definition of
first got
art
it.
involves spreading
Yeah,
feces
the
on
grill is very
canvas.
Rolls-Royce.
Witness the Vanden Plas 1500, based on the miserable Austin Allegro. It featured a stand-up chrome grill,
we had the
genuine
grill
leather
out.
seats,
Yeah.
deep pile carpet, and fold-down walnut tables for the back seats, presumably so that the owner had a comfortable place to enjoy lunch while waiting for the tow truck. And for this, BL charged nearly twice as much as the Allegro. Presumably, the target buyer was someone who looked at a Jaguar XJ6 and said, "It's lovely, but have you got anything smaller and shittier?" 1975 AMC Pacer. Ah, the Pacer, the first wide, small car. AMC's concept did make for some cute commercials, but it also made for a seriously unattractive car. The Pacer's huge glass area was designed to give drivers better visibility,
Yeah, it's a bit, isn't it?
but instead it made them feel like a goldfish being boiled in its own bowl. Out back, the taillights looked like they were designed with a cake frosting spatula. The Pacer got even uglier in 1978. As shown in our photo, AMC fitted a bulging hood and stand-up grille that provided clearance for the new optional V8. An attempt to give the Pacer the power it needed to move all that heavy glass, with no worries about economy since the cast-iron six-cylinder engines were already gluttons. Poorly conceived and poorly executed, the Pacer was a car for dorks
That is
before dorks were cool. 1975 British Leyland
Oh, here
Princess.
we go.
The Princess is yet another abomination from across the Atlantic. Originally introduced under the Austin, Morris, and Wolseley brands,
Terrible car.
the car eventually became a standalone mark, presumably because none of the existing BL makes wanted anything to do with it. The Princess was an awkward, wedge-shaped car that looked like a hatchback, except it wasn't. What trunk, sorry boot space there was, had to be accessed through a tiny lid. That made it impractical as well as unattractive and unreliable. Shortly after the Princess was introduced, British Leyland collapsed and had to be nationalized. Was anyone surprised? 1977 Datsun 200SX. By the late 1970s, Datsun, later Nissan, had earned a good reputation in the United States thanks to handy little economy cars like the B210 and 510 and brilliant sportsters like the 240Z. And then this happened. The 200SX was a rear-drive sports coupe with a 2-liter engine and a grille apparently influenced by an electric shaver. Surprisingly, there were very few complaints about the C-pillar blocking rearward visibility, most likely because there were very few buyers. The 200SX was too slow to be sporty and too thirsty to be thrifty. What it was best at was rusting, something it did with admirable rapidity and enthusiasm, the end result being that few are left to assault our eyes today. 1977 Leata Cabalero. The Chevrolet Chevette was a pitiful car, slow, noisy, and thoroughly miserable, but at least it wasn't tragically unattractive. That's something Mr. Donald E. Steinbach of Port Falls decided to set right. He slapped on 350 pounds of Bondo and fiberglass, endeavoring to endow his Frankencar with styling cues from the first-generation Monte Carlo, and resold it for nearly double the Chevette's price. Amazingly, he made nearly 100 of the things, including a handful of El Camino-inspired pickup trucks that, if you can believe such a thing is possible, look even more ridiculous. Apparently, he named the car after his wife. Grounds for divorce, if you ask us, though why he coupled that with a misspelling of the Spanish word for gentleman is anyone's guess. Mr. Steinbach apparently lost his shirt on the whole works, so there is some justice in the universe. 1977 Volvo 262C.
Square.
Hemmings reports that when Henry Ford II came to Sweden to see Volvo's cutting-edge Kalmar plant, his team brought a phalanx of Lincoln Continental Mark Vs to drive around, and the Swedes were so taken that they decided to build their own version, a stupid idea that begat a stupid car. The story goes that Volvo didn't bother with a clay model, and that's too bad.
Awful.
Perhaps it would have stopped this disaster before it happened. To create this rolling horror, Volvo sent perfectly good 206...
Tell me you're a 70s school teacher.
There you go, right? We had the 4-door, though, we did. Obviously, my dad was doing taxes at the time, so we always had, like...
fixing them, fiddling them.
No.
Driving taxis. Right, taxis that you pay.
No. So we always had 4-doors, but, so boxy, the
awful
the Volvos.
Cars. Yeah. It's one of these things about the safest cars and not they're not.
No.
It's just
big,
perception.
heavy, steering, absolutely terrible.
Awful really, state of that.
Yeah.
62 GL Coupes to Bertone in Italy, which chopped 2.6 inches from the roofline and rendered the car unusable for anyone over 6 feet tall. Amazingly, some 6,600 were built over a 5-year period. Apparently, there are a lot of short people with bad taste. 1978 Oldsmobile Cutlass Aeroback. When the time came to downsize its successful mid-size cars, General Motors decided that the Buick Century and Oldsmobile Cutlass ought to have a European look. And what could be more European than a hatchback? The results, as you can see, were predictably awful. Technically, the Aeroback cars weren't hatchbacks, as they had a conventional trunk lid, but consumers didn't complain because they were too busy not buying them. GM was so confident in the design that it didn't bother to offer a traditional sedan version. Oops, sales tanked, but didn't die out completely thanks to the conventional wagon and rather attractive coupe. GM rushed a proper sedan into production for 1980. Though for reasons that can't quite be explained, the 2-door Aeroback got a stay of execution until 1981.
That's bad,
if you're wondering why GM styling was so bland throughout the 1980s, well, now you know.
It's almost like the Vauxhall Viva. That one, isn't it?
Yeah, it has a look of it. Yeah, definitely.
It's got the definitely Vauxhall Viva.
Yeah, and there always was a bit of sort of like a copying to a certain extent from the US and Europe, wasn't they? They always took bits and the other car makers.
Vauxhall was it Opel as well from Germany?
I think it was.
Yeah. Another was right. Part of the GM group.
I think it was.
I think eventually went part of the GM group.
Yeah.
So there's definitely going to be crossovers from GM designs into Opel and
Vauxhall.
Definitely,
absolutely big time. Yeah.
But
there's some hideous cars there. Really was
very bad, but some classics though as well.
Yeah,
some I quite like in there.
One or two were okay, I suppose. One or two were okay, but yeah.
The Reliant Robin's got to be the winner.
I mean, it's got to be. I mean, just look at it. I mean, it's
that commuter car they had as well was pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, it's pretty much like that, but with
when he
just had an extra wheel, didn't it? But no, not that I know of anyway. But so I like the guy narrating on this. So dry. I mean, he's so good.
Yeah, brilliant.
I thought it'd be a bit boring at first, but he's highly amusing.
Very, very funny. Yeah, enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's a good one. That.
Good one. You guys enjoyed it as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.
Cheers.
Cheers.